Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you all are snuggled up with a loved one, and no matter who that is. Could be those fur babies. I see a lot of photos of them on Facebook, so always love there. But boy, Susie Nash, you know what? She is a fantastic country music singer, and she's going to be singing at Archie's every weekend on Fridays and Saturdays from 5 to 8 and Sunday 2 to 5. We all know Archie's. It's Archie Seabreeze up at 401 South Ocean Drive in Fort Pierce. No shoes, no shirt, no problem. So check her out, Susie Nash. She's going to be on the show March 6th. I can't wait to have her and hear all about her upcoming tour. Also, I want to remind everybody that Martin County Forever, that's coming to the Martin County Commission next Tuesday. It's a proposal for a half-cent tax, and Merritt Matheson was here last week, spoke for an hour about Martin County Forever. It's about purchasing conservation lands here in Martin County. So important. It's a really good show. It'll be airing again right after this show at 10:30, so you can watch the whole thing on Facebook, or the second half will air on WSTU AM 1450. And as we're speaking about growth and all these things that are happening in Martin County, I'm excited about today's show, but also next week from 11 to 12, I'll be pre-recording a show on Facebook Live with Mary Dawson. She's a former Martin County commissioner, and her insights are really interesting because she was a commissioner over 20 years ago. And she spoke about a lot of things that she thought would happen 20 years ago, and we're going to see where they are today and her thoughts, as well as she's an author and will be releasing a new book, so we're going to hear all about that. And finally, don't forget about Molly's House. Molly's House has the Polo Classic Saturday, March 2nd from 12 to 4. It's going to be at the Port Mayaca Polo Club, and I'm going to MC it, so I hope you can be out there. I'm going to have so much fun, and I hope we just pack the crowd out there. It's a great cause. Love the Polo Club, love Molly's House. So that's going to be March 2nd. You can go to mollyshouse.org for more information. In the studio, I have another Meet Your Candidate here today, and I'm really excited, and I'm anxious to speak with Jim Yurillo. He is a Republican running for Martin County Board of Commissioners in District 1, which is currently held by Commissioner Doug Smith. A little bit about Jim. He's a Martin County native, youngest of 3 children to Bill and Marie Yurillo, born at Martin Memorial Hospital in 1961. Definitely a native. Attended Jensen Beach Elementary on Indian River Drive, now known as the Environmental Studies Center, Stewart Middle, and graduated Martin County High in 1979. While in high school, joined the Jensen Beach Volunteer Fire Department to become an EMT. After graduation, attended Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Field of Study of Avionics Technology, while on summer break, he had the opportunity to work with Martin County's first Advanced Life Support Unit, and as a result, changed his field to emergency medicine. He worked with the Martin County EMS and as an EMT, later becoming a paramedic. He attended the Fire Academy at IRCC, completing where he also became a certified firefighter. 1987. I've got my phone here. Sorry, folks. I wasn't able to print this out. 1987, he was recruited by Martin Memorial Health Coastal Care Ambulance Service, and after 15 years, moved on to focus on more time with his family. And I tell you what, Jim, I'm probably better off letting you say this because my phone is doing funny things. I wasn't able to print this, and you have just one more thing that, folks, give me one more minute here. Jim, we're going to meet you, I swear. This normally doesn't happen. He was raised with community service as part of his life. His father was involved with multiple community organizations, most of all Jensen Beach Volunteer Fire Department. He founded the Jensen Beach 4th of July fireworks displays, where he was given the nickname Boom Boom Yurillo. I love that, Boom Boom Yurillo. After his death in 1976, Jim's brother and himself took the helm and later started the Creative Fireworks Company. My father set an example to the community. Involvement leads to a stronger community. I remained active with the Jensen Beach Volunteer Fire Department until 1993. At the time, we stepped aside and support into consideration into fire rescue. 15 years he served on the board of directors with Jensen Beach Little League and volunteered with the Martin County Schools, and very active with Jensen Beach High School Band Program, serving as president of the Band Parents Association. And folks, if you have any questions or comments for Jim, please type them into the Facebook Live. We'll not be taking calls on today's show. So Jim, sorry about the little bit of the stuttering here with your background, but what a wonderful background, and you're definitely a native, and I'm excited you're in the studio to tell us why you're running here for Martin County Commission.
Well, I've seen a lot of changes in Martin County in my lifetime, from the time when the US 1 and Kenner Highway at Palm City was all flower farms to what it is today. Reason why I'm running, it's just that I've been a Martin County native. I think we have lost touch with what made Martin County so great. We've seen a lot of good things out of Martin County. We've seen some bad things over the years, and right now we're living through the ugly stage. Rampant overdevelopment. Our roadways, our infrastructure can't handle what we're bringing in. That was just the drive here this morning was an event, just trying to get through traffic to get here on time. I'm motivated. I think we need to bring some common sense and some reality back to our Board of County Commissioners. Some of the things they're doing is just beyond belief. I think they've lost touch with what the community wants. Martin County was once kind of the gem of the Treasure Coast. We had our slower growth. It was managed. I wouldn't say slow, but it was managed growth. I lived through the days of Frank Walker and Maggie Herchel and their contentious board meetings as they were hammering out the comprehensive plan. Even though they don't follow it per se today, it was still a great guideline for the development of Martin County. Many of our residents of Martin County today have relocated up here to get away from the overgrowth and the sprawl of Palm Beach and Broward and Dade County. We are rapidly, and I mean over the last 6 to 8 years, rapidly turning into that sprawl. And that's one of my big motivations. The other thing is we're not taking the developers to task. Martin County is unique because we have all these individual little communities with their own little heritage, and we're forgetting that heritage. We're leaving it behind. Jensen Beach is a laid-back Key West style village, fishing, water sports village. Port Salerno, you have your commercial fishing docks. Palm City, at one time, it's flower farms and very much agricultural and based. Now look at it today.
Right.
Indiantown with its cattle. All that's going away. We're overdeveloping. We're pushing that out. We're moving the urban service district boundaries further and further west every time you turn around. And it's time we bring some common sense and some rationale back to our county government.
There are a lot of changes that are going on, and I can say for certain as well, I'm not a native for sure, but what drew me to Martin County is the laid-back way of life and all the green space that was here. When I first came to Florida, I was down in Palm Beach County, and I looked at Martin County, and it truly was the treasure and the gem of the Treasure Coast. And my goodness, Jim, you can see the county lines, whether it's to the north or the south, can't you?
Yes,
There really is. It's a beautiful laid-back area of Martin County, and you're right. Over this, last, especially 5-6 years, it's been an incredible change for us, and we do need to protect what we have.
Absolutely. That's why I'm running. I mean, it's just I've had enough. A Martin County native, I love this county. I could have moved many times. And I've been all over the country, so I've had an opportunity to see other areas. But I've always come back to Martin County because this is where I grew up. And I want to maintain it because not only for me and my family, so many people have invested so much money moving into this area. And now what they ran away from is now turning into.
Jim, that's something that's a huge issue here is affordable housing. And I don't mean affordable by the state's determination and what they say is affordable. I mean, but something that somebody who works here and lives here can have a house here or even an apartment. These rents and home prices have absolutely skyrocketed. And if you were not fortunate enough to buy a home ahead of all this and have it
Right.
paid for,
Right. I agree. Right now, rents, I don't think you can get into a house for less than $2,500 a month.
yeah,
Who's working in Martin County
that's right.
and able to afford that?
That's right. That's right.
It's just we've outgrown our own population
There's
financially.
a lot of money coming in that doesn't need to work, and that's what created the home pricing to go so high. So, what did you feel about the rural lifestyle amendment? That's really something that has been talked about a lot. There's already been votes on it, but right now the commission, as required by the state, is reviewing the comp plan as they do every 7 years.
I am
Big
not in
discussion.
favor of it. There's some provisions within it that I don't agree with, and one of it is the commercial space, how it's written. The commercial space is supposed to be used to supply and deal with the people there, but there's no square footage requirements on it. I'm just afraid, that small country store kind of concept that they're thinking is going to turn into be a superstore of one of the big box stores moving in, because there's no setbacks on what or requirements on what size they can be and what they can bring into there. And when you do that, you increase traffic, which increases all the other infrastructure issues that we bring into play. So I'm not in favor of moving the urban service district boundary any further west or that amendment.
Okay. Were there anything else with the rural lifestyle amendment that you didn't like besides that provision?
That is my main provision on it, but there's, yeah.
Right, right. And the urban service boundary, folks, it used to go, I say used to now because it has changed, but pretty much along 95.
Right.
And that basically was where our services were: water, sewer, fire department. Fire department can go anywhere, but your main utility services. Where if you're outside the urban service boundary, instead of being on sewer, you're going to be on septic. You might have a well instead of water. So it really made a difference. And also, the zoning for a lot of our rural lands was 1 unit per 20 acres.
Right.
So on the inside of the urban service boundary, it varies depending on what district you're in, what town you're in, what have you. So that's really an important was an important boundary in our comp plan. So that's something that is changing because of the rural lifestyle amendment. Rural lifestyle amendment, as you know, is something if it had anything touching the urban service boundary, it changed those parameters
Right.
where it did something called more like a cluster housing. So these are really big changes for our county and something that
That's a fundamental change.
It is.
For especially the western part of the county. Yes.
very, very much. Let's move on here a little bit. Brightline Station. So the county is now working with the city of Stewart for a station here just by the courthouse. What are your feelings on that?
I would like to see Brightline here locally available, since the rail service is now through our area and we are getting the stop in the traffic and dealing with it. We should be able to take advantage of it. And I have 3 kids that live in Orlando, so personally, I would love to hop on a train and drive up there. So, I'd like to see the county and the city come together in an opportunity to build a station, get Brightline to bite on board, because I know we have a lot of competition from our
Well, Fort Pierce
Fort
is
Pierce
definitely out there,
been
yes.
pushing real hard, yes.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
we need to step up our game a little bit if we want to get it here.
The Martin County Forever tax, I spoke about it at the top of the hour. Are you a supporter of that? Martin County Forever, again, folks, is a half-cent tax. Voters get to decide on that tax whether or not they're for it or not, and it's to purchase conservation land, about 46,000 acres in Martin County, so that it can never be developed.
I am in favor of it. I'm in favor of it because I believe we need to conserve and save our green space, and if we can do that to facilitate that and make that happen, I would be in favor of a half-cent sales tax. We've taken half-cent sales tax on and off for the years that I can remember. So it's not a big impact to the sales tax when you go shopping, but it end results are big. So I'm in favor of it.
So here's something that happened recently, just to get an idea of what kind of commissioner you would be and how you would vote. Commissioner Campy recently purchased property in Palm City. It's for a little over $4 million. It was a 6-acre parcel that was privately owned, and a developer was going to put apartments on it. Residents near that area said, wait a minute, we really don't want that here. And Commissioner Campy did convince the majority of the commission to purchase that property, and we're going to see what happens with it in the future. But are you a commissioner that would support that type of purchase from the county commission?
Commissioner Campy followed the will of his constituency, and I agreed with that move. I would do the same thing. If that's what our community wants and they don't want a particular style development and they're willing to come out. I hear all the time about property owners' rights and that we can't tell a developer no because he has rights to do this and rights to do that, but we forget that the people that are already living there are also property owners and they have rights and they have a say about what's going on in their community. So yes, I think Commissioner Campy made the right move.
In Jensen Beach in particular, you have, Quit Messing with Jensen was, I absolutely love that group, and the gals, I had them on the radio before.
I know.
What kind of changes have you seen here in Jensen Beach? Because I think that was maybe part of the impetus that Jim said, I got to be more involved at the commission or the county level.
Well, it had a lot to do with it. I had already been kicking the idea around, and to be honest, I was kicking the idea around, talking to some people. And not just election cycle. Actually, it's been the last 2 election cycles I've been approached by people to run, and I've always passed on it. And I was giving it serious thought. I had actually, family friend was Jo Neeson. She grew up down the street from me. Her
Hey,
brother
Joe, I know she'll be listening.
And her brother and I graduated together. We were good friends. And I called her and I talked to her about it. What am I getting into? That was the first question in my mouth. Well, what am I getting into? If I
Joe
want to
ran
do
against
this?
Doug Smith.
I know she
right.
did. And I elected not to run because I was thinking very serious about running when she was running because I didn't want to divide votes. It was more important to get a candidate in there that had like minds, and so I went that route. Shortly after that, Quit Messing with Jensen put a Facebook page ad out on their page. Anybody interested in running for commission? I first private messaged them and said, let's have a meeting. Well, unbeknownst to me, Joe had also in the background did the same thing and give him my name. So I sat down with the group, and we discussed issues, and we had like minds and all. So we went forward, and I decided, well, I've got a little bit more of a base than and I've had the privilege of with my history in the county.
Yes.
I've been all over the county, and I know people in every community in the county. And before I even made the decision, I was talking to people in these individual communities. And I was finding that more and more people were not happy with certain commissioners, and Doug Smith being one of them they were very displeased with. So I figured the time is probably now. I have some name recognition in the county to get out and make a move and see if we can actually change the course of the commission. Because if you look at the commission, this all started about 12 years ago when there was a fundamental change in some commissioners that were elected.
Right.
And there was a swing in the direction of the commission, and the growth went nuts. So we all knew it was going to after that election.
There was, absolutely. This is kind of like a pendulum in Martin County. There's a slow growth and pro-growth, they call it, or no growth and pro-growth, whatever you want to call it. But there definitely was a big change in this.
I want to make it clear, though, I'm not anti-growth. I'm not a no-growth person. I am a controlled growth person. Let's do this with some systems in place and some thought behind the process, not just saying yes to every developer that walks in the door.
Again, we're speaking with Jim Yurillo. He's Republican running for Martin County Commission District 1. The primary will be in August. So, Jim, how can people reach you to speak with you more, to support you, find out more about you?
A website that I'm hoping to have up by the end of the week. And I'm also my Facebook page, and it'll be just elect Jim Yurillo. Very simple. And it's if you
elect Jim Yurillo. Yeah,
right.
That is simple.
It's very simple, and you can get my information. It'll be how you can donate how you can volunteer, and get some more information about what I'm all about.
Jim, what do you feel about term limits?
I'm a proponent of term limits. I know there's the argument against them. They'd say, well, the voters are the term limit decider. Well, no, not really, because when you've been in office for 12, 20 years, you build a base, and it becomes more on the donations and how much money you can raise than actually getting the job done for your constituency. Because the guy that makes $20,000 a year, who can't really donate to a campaign, has the same right, and his voice should be heard with the same weight as the guy that's a millionaire.
Jim, the county owns, the water park here in Palm City. They own and run the restaurants out at the beaches. They have the golf complex, the new hitting golf bays, and the golf course out there. What I'm getting at is, what is your stance on county government owning businesses that could otherwise be ran by a private entity?
Certain businesses in a county golf course, as long as it's run by the county, that opens affordable to people that would like to play golf, but they can't necessarily afford the tee fees at other clubs or are not members of clubs. I think there's a place that at least they should have one public course somewhere in the county. Running the restaurants out at the beach, I think we've tried private sector out there before, and they've always failed. And we do want to provide that service. So I'm not necessarily against the county stepping forward and doing that under those type of circumstances. But if it's a viable location, like I wouldn't say the county put a restaurant in downtown Jensen. That's a viable location. Anybody can come in and make money and handle it. So I would not be in favor of the county investing in that. I think our resources can go elsewhere.
Jim, we've got just 3 minutes, but what are the fundamental differences between yourself and your opponent, Doug Smith?
Oh,
should have given you more than 3 minutes on it, right?
Where do I start on that one? I've always volunteered. I grew up in volunteering community service. I'm a working guy. I go out and I have calluses on my hands. I earn a day's pay. I talk to people. I know what the people want, and I listen to what they want. That's one of the advantages of my current job. I talk to people all the time all over the county, and I get to feel in the pulse of what the county is really wanting. I believe our current commissioner has lost that. I believe he doesn't avail himself to the people. He's in his castle on the hill, as they say in Jensen, and he doesn't listen to what the people in Jensen want. And his views do not align with the majority of the people in the district.
Well, Jim, I really appreciate you coming in here today. It's really good to hear you and your thoughts and why you're running. And I'd like to follow up with you again further into your campaign, and we can come back in and see how it's going out there for you, because I know you're out there, you're going to be meeting with a lot of people and talking with a lot of people. What kind of response are you getting so far?
Very favorable. And everybody I talk to is, I stopped to have a snack at a local establishment, and I made a comment that I was running, and the whole place started to chant. And there is a lot of people out there that are not happy.
They're restless and ready for a change.
They're ready for a change. And that's it. We need a change. 20 years is long enough. It's time to put some fresh blood and some fresh thoughts into place.
And there you have term limits, right? So do you have any thoughts on how to get affordable housing for folks in the area?
I was thinking about that actually on the drive in this morning, dealing with traffic, and I really don't have something I want to say right now, because the ideas are just not formulated enough that I want to make it real,
right,
make a statement.
Right.
But we need to address it. It's something that absolutely needs to be addressed, because my kids can't even afford to live here, and it bothers me.
Folks, this is what it's all about. It's really important, and I appreciate you, Jim, coming in here today so people can meet you. It's the Meet Your Candidate series. Know who you're voting for. It's really important to find out about that person, and electjimmurillo.com will be coming online very shortly, and you'll be able to reach out to Jim and ask your own questions, and I'm sure he'll be out in the community. And again, he's running against Doug Smith for Martin County Board of Commissioners on District 1. The primary will be in August, so make sure that you're paying attention to that. It's very important. In the meantime, next up will be the second half of Merritt Matheson, if you're on the radio, and he's going to talk about that Martin County Forever tax that Jim and I spoke about, or it'll run for the entire length on Facebook, and I will see you next week with candidate Jeff Borgiano.